Support for this episode of PBS Reno Arts is provided by the Nevada Arts Council. Arts and creativity make us stronger, fueling innovation, prosperity, and thriving communities across Nevada. They boost our economy, promote well-being, and enhance education, empowering Nevadans of all ages. The Nevada Arts Council nurtures these essential creative forces. Together, let's elevate the arts in every corner of our great state. More at nvartscouncil.org.
This is PBS Reno Arts. I'm Dave Santina in the studio at PBS Reno in Reno, Nevada. And sitting across from an old friend who I've worked with way back, and here we are again, Colin Robertson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, now we only have 30 minutes or less, but I'm still going to try to give your entire title within this time frame. You are the Charles N. Mathewson Senior Vice President of Education and Research at the Nevada Museum of Art. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
That's impressive. And so we've worked together for a long time. We did a documentary together back in 2014, Modernist Maverick, about an exhibit, sort of like the video version of the exhibit that you guys were putting on that you curated.
Yes, I think it was 2013.
2013, and then the video maybe came out a year later. I don't remember. It's been a while.
It was a while.
And so, with the museum, you're there. It seems to those who are uninitiated that you've been there the whole time, but you went off and did a couple of other things and came back around, and now here you are in this brand new position, partly or maybe entirely because of this very impressive new addition to the museum, correct?
That's right. I came back to the museum 2.5 years ago, so February of 2023, and one of the only Boomerang employees there that I'm aware of. And that was with the understanding that there was a great deal of work to do to get ready to open the new building, which we successfully have done as of last Saturday, August 23rd.
Right. We're recording this a little early, so you're going to hear it in October, but we're recording it at the end of August. So bear with us if we make references that seem odd.
That's right. But we had a great grand opening celebration there last weekend and welcomed the addition of 50,000 square feet of new space for the museum in the Charles and Stacie Mathewson Education and Research Center, which is just a tremendous addition to the Nevada Museum of Art campus. Our existing building was designed by Will Bruder in 2003 and opened in May of 2003. And that building was 70,000 square feet all in. And as of now, the Nevada Museum of Art, with the addition of the Charles and Stacie Mathewson Education and Research Center, is 120,000 square feet. So we nearly doubled the size of the building overall. We nearly doubled the size of the gallery spaces from 20,000 square feet of gallery space to 35,000 square feet. We've got great new education spaces, a wonderful new classroom on the ground floor. The Thomas and Pauline Tusher Research Library on the ground floor is just a phenomenal space. It's a 4,000 square foot research library that's open to the public, and it's a non-lending library, but the books in it are very much focused on our work at the intersection of art and environment. And there's 13,200 or thereabouts volumes in that collection.
So people may come and do research, study, just leave everything in there.
Absolutely. You can't check the books out, but you can use them while you're there and come back daily. There's great Wi-Fi. There's great volunteer and staff support in the library. And it's just down the hall from a brand new location of Perrin Bakery, which opened up in the Nevada Museum of Art this summer with a great new addition to the cafe space and delicious coffee and pastries. We can't take those in the library, but you can enjoy them nearby and come
sounds
back.
Great. You're making me hungry just thinking about it. I have had many a lunch in that space over the years, and it's in its various iterations. I know there have been a few vendors over the years, but Perrin is a big name here in town for exactly that kind of thing, pastries and delicious specialties like that. So that's a perfect addition.
It's a great fit for the Nevada Museum of Art, and we're really pleased to have the Olasky family associated with us in the museum. And it's been just a tremendous joy to see the impact of this new building. Our museum is the only accredited art museum in the state of Nevada, and it is a very special museum. There really is no city of Reno's size anywhere in the country that has a museum just as good as this one is, if I may say so. And
it's fair. You can be a little biased. It's fair, but I think you have all the evidence to back you up.
Yeah, and we are very proud of that. In particular, because the museum leads with education. Our CEO, David Walker, has been at the helm of the organization since 2007. And he came from an education background at the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. And many art museums, if you visit them around the country, have education spaces, but they're difficult to find. And in our community, we have a challenge in this community because there are not elementary art specialists in classrooms in the schools across the district. And so the museum can't fill that gap fully, but we do our best to provide high-quality art integration and art education opportunities for students, and that's front and center in the new building and in our existing building.
Was that part of the motivation for adding this space?
Absolutely, a big part of it, and it's also why the name on the building on the new facade, it says Education and Research. And it's all part of the Nevada Museum of Art, of course, but it, I think, underscores the extent to which education really is a key part of our mission and what we do there with the art that we present to the public.
So you mentioned being the only accredited museum in the state. I immediately think, oh, well, that's impressive. And then I stop and think, well, what does that actually mean? I don't know. So if you would enlighten us to the value of that status.
Well, we're the only accredited art museum in the state.
Oh, pardon me.
But that is something that's it's essentially organized by the American Alliance of Museums, and it's a set of protocols and regulations and sort of expectations, really, on museums of many different kinds, including art museums, about things like security protocols inside the building, and because of things like audit protocols as nonprofits, and things like temperature and humidity controls and staffing and all kinds of categories of kind of professional museums operations more than anything. And we're very proud of our accreditation, but it's also what enables us to borrow exhibitions and artwork from other museums, and those museums can be assured that their loans will be safe in our hands. Interesting fun fact, there are more museums in this country than there are McDonald's.
Really? That's quite a statement. I had no idea.
Isn't it? It's also kind of happy. Like, it makes me happy.
It makes me happy.
I'm
a little happier right now than I was 8 seconds ago because I had no idea.
I'm just delighted to have been able to make you happy today.
Thank you. I'm better fed by those museums as well. No offense, McDonald's, but
it might be true. But only 5% of those museums are accredited by the American Alliance of Museums.
So that's a great description.
It gives you a sense of really kind of how professional the organization is and how equipped they are to care for and educate and interpret what's on display in a given museum, and what their mission, vision, purpose, values, board governance, financial governance looks like, all of those kinds of things. And we're very proud of where we've come. Our museum was founded in 1931 by Dr. James Church and his good friend Charles Cutts, who was an art collector. But the heritage of our museum goes back to early 20th century, and we're sitting on the campus of the University of Nevada, Reno, not too far from the Church Fine Arts building. named for Dr. Church. And Dr. Church was an early faculty member in the university. He came on a train in the 1880s from the University of Michigan, and apocryphal stories say that he got off the train in Reno, and the first thing he saw was a man shot on the street long before the Johnny Cash lyric was
right.
famous. But he thought about getting back on the train and going straight back to Michigan, but fortunately for all of us, he stayed and eventually pursued a PhD in Germany, and he came back to the faculty of the University of Nevada in the turn of the century, taught some German, some Latin, some art history, and interestingly, he also was quite an adventurer, and he developed the methodology that's still used today for measuring snowpack in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And on the summit of Mount Rose, if you hike up to the top, you'll find the remnants of a stone foundation to a shelter that he used to do some of the research that he began there in 1906. And interestingly enough, about 25 years later, he also founded what became the Nevada Museum of Art. And that heritage is one that we really value and love and admire because in the earliest days of the Nevada Museum of Art, you could come one week to hear a presentation about plein air watercolor painters looking at the Nevada landscape and representing it in watercolor, and another week hear from a landscape architect around ideas about environment and place, and another week from somebody like Dr. Church himself, an early climate scientist who really, I think, the heritage of his vision and interests is what makes it possible for us now to have this long history of working at the intersection of art and environment. And I'm very proud of our research institute, which is called the Institute for Art and Environment. And that institute is nationally and internationally acclaimed, and we have 230 project-based archives from artists all over the world who explore ideas about environmental topics ranging from Nevada's nuclear legacy here in the state to climate change to environmental justice and land use issues, for example, and everything in between.
We've worked with I've worked with that in that space before in the building prior to this addition. Does the addition allow for expansion of the institute?
Absolutely. Half of the second floor of the new building, a little bit more than half, is dedicated to the institute. So
that's a big expansion.
Dedicated research space. There is a dedicated classroom space that I'm super excited about because President Brian Sandoval here at the University of Nevada, Reno, and David Walker, the museum's CEO, signed an MOU in April. And as of yesterday and today, the first classes from the University of Nevada, Reno are being held at the museum in the Art and Environment Education Lab.
Oh, how exciting.
And that's been a ton of fun. So that classroom is dedicated to the Institute work as well as the research library on the ground floor. So all told, that's perhaps, call it 11,000 or 12,000 square feet of space that is part of the new building that's dedicated to the Institute for Art and Environment.
Well, that opens up some new doors to some potential academic opportunities down the road. Are the instructors from the university coming to the museum to teach?
The instructors are coming from the university to teach, and so are the students, and it's really exciting to see because the students are taking the RTC rapid transit bus line from campus free of charge if they flash their student IDs.
Nice.
And it drops them off a block from the museum, and they can walk right over and up to class, which is fantastic. As I was explaining to them today, that's a little way that we can help do our part to make small changes in our everyday lives that might help us make life in Reno and northern Nevada a little bit better over time. But reducing our carbon footprints individually is kind of hard to imagine how to do, but one easy thing to do is to take the bus and leave the cars behind, and they were happy to do that, and I was stoked about it.
Yeah, that's great.
That was a ton of fun.
It's funny. I think about that after I travel. In March, we went to the UK for spring break. We have a couple of weeks, and so we try to take a trip somewhere every year if we can. This year we did the UK, and part of that London, of course. We then, we were all over the island, and we did rent a car to drive part of it, and then we ended up in Edinburgh for the final week, most of the final week, and we ditched the car, gave it back, and we took public transportation wherever we went. And you realize when you do it and you make the effort, it's not difficult, and it's actually quite convenient in most cases, and it takes a lot of stress out of you when you're not having to drive somewhere. So there is a real advantage to that, but it's almost like you have to have a mechanism like this to spark it in somebody. Hey,
absolutely.
Try this, do this, take this path, and then, when you realize, oh, that's really quite nice to just be able to sit and concentrate on other things while I'm being taken across town to my class. Maybe I'll do this more often and spare myself the hassle of parking and the cost of parking and all of the extras, and then the benefit is, evident.
Well, it's tremendous, and I was very proud of the students for doing it, and they all made it on time even, which was fantastic. But
that's great.
They are showing the way. I think it requires people to see that those kinds of things are options, and then they, it doesn't take much to change people's behavior. They just need to know how to do it and be shown, and then people will do it. And that's been a fantastic way to start the semester, and we're really excited about that collaboration with the University of Nevada. One of the courses is taught by a psychologist named Lars Struther, and he's teaching a graduate seminar in neuroaesthetics, which to the layperson, in my view, that is basically about your brain on art and nature.
Yeah.
And he's doing some really interesting research around visual perception and what kinds of effects on the brain looking at art and the natural environment has. So we're really excited about that because it really closely aligns with the kind of work that we do. And then in the art department, the chair of the art department, Dr. Kelly Korpening, is working very hard to launch a new minor in arts, land, and environment. And that is a really wonderful new area of study for students in the art department and across the university, really. But the first course in that minor is happening at the museum on Fridays this semester, taught by Scott Hinton, a really talented photographer and photography educator.
I know that name. I've probably seen some of his work.
Absolutely. And that's really exciting. So that class has about 12 or 14 students in it, and they're learning about our altered landscape photography collection as well as field methods in photography. And that's really exciting because it's sort of the launching course for the new minor, and that minor is related to really important work that's happening up at the Lake Tahoe campus for the university, but also related very closely to the permanent collections of our museum here in town. And that growth of the relationship between the university and the museum has really been wonderful this past year, and look forward to more of it.
I was happy to be in attendance at the signing of the MOU. It was a nice moment, and
it was a nice.
It was
moment.
my first time in that space. I had not seen it yet, and it came to life for me that day when I realized what it meant. And in my mind, it was almost like going to be an attachment on the back end of the museum with its own entrance and its own completely separate space, but really it's integrated right into the larger museum. So
yeah, it's all connected. The only thing that isn't yet connected is on the third floor. So people who've been to see our Sea Dragons of Nevada exhibition on the third floor of the existing building,
which if you haven't, get over there.
It's a ton of fun. It's 250 million year old marine reptiles that came from Nevada that nobody has really ever seen in one place together. But the backside of that exhibition is the wall between the third floor of the new part of the building, and that wall will come down after the holidays in late January, early February, and then the building will connect on all three floors. But it's spectacular time to come and visit. We've got a wonderful exhibition of a private collection that was donated to the Nevada Museum of Art in the past year or so, called Eternal Signs, which is a really wonderful exhibition curated by my colleague Apsara DeQuinzio, and it's an exhibition of Indigenous Australian painting and represents a number of different regions in sort of west central and north central Australia. And as a result of this gift from a very dedicated collecting couple, Robert Kaplan and Margaret Levy, we now have one of the best collections of contemporary Aboriginal painting in the United States, and we're really thrilled about that. But the exhibition is just very, very beautiful and just kind of knocks your socks off to look at the paintings there and the sculptures. They're wonderful.
All right. You just gave me some work to do. I've got to get over it. It's been a while.
Come anytime.
All right.
We'll walk through it.
I love it. So in all of this, we described your, I jokingly described you having this long title, but what does that mean? What is your role in all of this?
Well, my job really is to welcome people to the museum and create the interfaces through which they experience the art. So on the education side, I run the education department, which consists of our public programming and then also our school and teacher programs, which includes our educator professional development work, which PBS has been a tremendous partner on, especially during the distribution of the Ichthyosaur Educator Toolkits, which has been just a tremendous collaboration this past year. And then the E.L. Cord Museum School, which is the third leg of the education stool, if you will. But that studio-based practice is we employ 35 local teaching artists to teach classes ranging from introduction to drawing and painting to Japanese flower arranging to wool felting and introduction to sewing and everything in between.
Wow, okay.
And they are wonderful classes. We have about 1,700 students and about 230 classes throughout the year. So between those three programs or sort of functions of the education department, I oversee those as well as the Research Institute, which we founded in 2008, the Center for Art and Environment. And that program has really grown in its scope, depth, and breadth. And so this year, we have rebranded and renamed the Center for Art and Environment the Institute for Art and Environment to reflect the greater number of programs, research work, education work, and so forth. And I administer that department as well. And when I think about it, I think a lot of my job boils down to trying to integrate the education functions of the museum with the research functions of the museum in ways that make our collections really wonderful, vibrant, dynamic objects and items in our collections, both in the library and the archives as well as in the art collections, more accessible to more people and share why they are so interesting and important.
Well, it sounds like you are being fed from by doing this work, being able to pull this together and be able to find that integration and to find that spark and to share the beauty and the joy that comes from all of this with others. I think it probably pulls that out of you as well.
I feel very fortunate to have my vocation and my avocation be closely aligned. And it means a lot, and we get to do some really wonderful things there. And my grandfather used to always say, hey, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's a good thing I love what I do.
Otherwise, you'd be miserable because you're there all the time. You're doing everything.
I'm there a lot, but that's why I love the place. And we are so fortunate to be working with so many amazing artists from our community and our region, as well as nationally and internationally. There's a wonderful exhibition there right now of Judith Lowry, the Pitt River, Washoe, and Maidu artist who lives now in Susanville, but the wonderful exhibition, retrospective exhibition of her life's work as an artist is just phenomenal, and what an amazing artist she is for our community and region. That's such a special exhibition, and we're so fortunate to have new dedicated gallery space for our permanent collection baskets and pottery, and another really wonderful gift. Well, Judith Lowry and her husband Brad Crowell also gave the museum a really important collection, their personal collection of contemporary indigenous artwork from the West Coast, and that gift is on display currently, as well as this collection of contemporary indigenous baskets and pottery. The basket collection consists of nearly 400 contemporary baskets, many of which are made in a very traditional way, but those baskets are on permanent display, and we've had tremendous interactions with and support of the Great Basin Native Basket Weavers Association and native basket makers and weavers who are still living and making baskets and helping us share knowledge and information about how those baskets were made. And in fact, the rooftop garden of the new space is the Tusher Sculpture Garden, named for Thomas and Pauline Tusher, as in the research library downstairs. And that garden has it's a native garden, native planting garden as well. And all the plants in it were selected in consultation with partners on the Western Shoshone, Paiute, and Washoe tribes and their basket makers. So all of the plants that are growing in the garden are used to make the baskets that are on display downstairs. And that's just a really tremendous way to underline the fact that basket making in our region is still very much a living tradition and a really powerful part of the endemic art forms of our region.
Ah, beautiful. And having this additional space makes it much easier to manage all of that, to have all of that in your permanent collection, and the addition of any new baskets that come, any new pieces that come, because I imagine it was pretty tight before this space opened up with your permanent collection. People don't see that. It's behind closed doors, but I imagine it might have looked a little bit like my garage, a little overstuffed.
Well, we were definitely full to the gills, but one of the things that's wonderful about the expansion is that the gallery spaces are really dedicated to being able to present more of our permanent collection more of the time. And the next exhibition opening in early next year, February of 2026, really, is an exhibition that'll take over the entire museum, all 35,000 square feet of gallery space. And it's a wonderful, amazing exhibition curated by Apsara DeQuinzio, my colleague, and is accompanied by a tremendously beautiful book. But it will take over the entire building, and it's something like 296 artworks by nearly 200 artists, and is called Into the Time Horizon, and is really an exhibition that explores all kinds of facets of contemporary artists' ideas about the natural environment and the threats to our well-being as a species, human species, from things like climate change and environmental degradation and habitat loss and biodiversity loss and indigenous ways of knowing and traditional knowledge about land conservation and so forth. It's just a really special exhibition, and we're really looking forward to that opening, and it will be the backdrop to our next Art and Environment Summit, which I know you have participated in the past, and that will be kind of the premier public programs of that exhibition, April 16th through the 18th of 2026.
Wow, that's something that's exciting to look forward to. Now, I didn't realize the exhibit that was coming was so all-encompassing. That's incredible. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Not to this scale, and it is an ambitious project, and Apsara is an ambitious person and doing such a great job organizing all of the, I can't even begin to tell you the complexities of navigating loan agreements and just the calendar of trying to get that many people's artwork organized to be in one place at one time, everybody on the same page. It's an extraordinary accomplishment and very exciting.
Impressive. And so something to look forward to. I remember when this museum, before the original Will Bruder construction, was just one relatively small building in that spot. I don't know how many people listening remember this, but we did a documentary project on the Dale Chihuly exhibit in the year 2000, and I still remember putting that together, and then not long after that goes away and this incredible building is built, and now it's even bigger and better, and I'm so excited for what's coming next. I'm excited for what you just described, but then there's even more beyond that you've expanded your capacity so much. I can't wait.
It's been tremendous, and Will Bruder was just here to celebrate the opening of the building, and he is also celebrating his birthday, but what a special building it is, and really expresses our identity as an organization. The building was inspired by a basalt rock formation in northern Nevada, and not a lot of people always remember that, but that is the architecture of our building itself is a visual and physical expression of our mission and our interest in that understanding of place and environment as it relates to artists' work. And we're super excited. You haven't yet had a chance to see this, but we'll rectify that. But there's a new artwork in the ground floor entrance of the new building called Centuries of the Bristlecone. And Centuries of the Bristlecone is a monumental clock by the artist Jonathan Keats and the master clockmakers Phil Abernethy, Brittany Nicole Cox, and Jason Eisman. And the clock is nearly 12 feet tall, and it's really two clock faces, one that tells time in Universal Standard Time as we know it, 10 minutes to 2 here.
What's on our watches.
And the right-hand side clock face tells time based on bristlecone pine trees growing in eastern Nevada. On the top of Mount Washington in eastern Nevada's Snake Range in White Pine County, not far from the back side of Great Basin National Park, is a privately owned grove of bristlecone pine trees. And those trees are Nevada's state trees. The Long Now Foundation in California owns the parcel where the Great Basin Bristlecone Pine Preserve is located. And the data coming from those trees is being studied by dendrochronologists at the University of Nevada, Adam Sank and Scotty Strachan in particular. And their research shows us the age and health of those trees. And that data is also what informs the timekeeping of the side of the clock that is calibrated to bristlecone pine trees. And it's a reminder to us all that bristlecones are the oldest living things on Earth. The oldest of them live in excess of 5,000 years. And I think Jonathan's interest is in getting us humans to maybe think a little bit more like a bristlecone pine tree and see if we can survive a little longer.
I like that idea. I think that's a worthy effort to make.
It's hopeful.
Yeah, I am hopeful thanks to that, and thanks to having you come in. I really appreciate you giving us a chunk of your day. You've got nothing but work to do, so I'm glad to give you a break.
I'm delighted to be here and really appreciate the opportunity and getting to see you again and chatting.
Well, I'm sure we will work again together sometime in the near future. Before we go, I want to remind everybody, please watch Artifacts on PBS Reno via broadcast or stream on pbsreno.org or the PBS Reno YouTube channel or the PBS app. As you can tell, there are a lot of ways to view. Also, read the Art Views columns at pbsreno.org. Now, do you have a question or maybe a comment or a suggestion? If so, send them to me at podcasts@pbsreno.org. I want to say thank you again to Colin Robertson, and thank you for listening to PBS Reno Arts.
Support for this episode of PBS Reno Arts is provided by the Nevada Arts Council. Arts and creativity make us stronger, fueling innovation, prosperity, and thriving communities across Nevada. They boost our economy, promote well-being, and enhance education, empowering Nevadans of all ages. The Nevada Arts Council nurtures these essential creative forces. Together, let's elevate the arts in every corner of our great state. More at nvartscouncil.org.